We're under the New Bay Bridge, where you're about to meet Jim Reid. Reid, his wife and kids recently returned to the U.S. from abroad and came back to no home, no car, and without having seen friends in years.
So you found a home, got a car, all that stuff?
Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah, we're settling in. It's been a long process.
Yeah, I'll bet.
We've been back almost a little over 3 months now. And life is just now starting to be normal.
I'll bet.
To build this new bridge, in 2008, Reid and his wife sold their home and their cars and moved lock, stock, and barrel to China.
My name is Jim Reid, and I work for Caltrans Construction, and I'm in charge of tower fabrication here in China for Caltrans.
In charge of what fabrication?
Tower fabrication.
Tower fabrication. And you've been busy the past couple of years, haven't you?
Oh, quite busy. I got out here about 3 years ago, just as the first plates were starting to be cut. When we left for here, we only had one child. She was a year and a half. She's now 4.5 years old and has a two-year-old little brother who was born while we were here. So this curved plate here, if you can imagine it flipped upside down, that's going to be the profile of the cable as it comes across the tower.
How do they like living in China? How does your wife like living in China?
Oh, she loves it. She really enjoys it. We had some tough times at the beginning. It was a tough transition for all of us. Well, we arrived in the middle of the worst winter Shanghai had had in 50 years. So we arrived to blizzards, freezing cold, and at the time to get to work we would drive about a half hour to a ferry dock. We would take a ferry out to the island where the fabrication happens, and then we repeat that all the way going back. And so sometimes, if there was bad weather, we'd have maybe 4 hours of commuting.
Talk about the tower. There's 4 sections to every section, right?
That's right. So the 4 individual shafts make up the tower. Each of them is about 500 feet tall, and they're joined with shear links or struts every so often all the way up. Those function almost as a fuse in case of an earthquake. So during normal events, they tie everything together and make the tower solid. But then when you get a large earthquake, they allow for some bending to take place rather than the tower breaking. The whole tower will move and dissipate the forces of the earthquake.
And how many lifts are there to make the tower?
Well, there are 4 main lifts and then 2 smaller ones up on top. So 6 in total.
And as we're speaking, 3 have already been put into place.
3 have been put in place in Oakland. The first one is 150 feet tall, and the next 2 are 100 feet. We're just getting ready to ship out the 4th 100-foot section and a 20-foot section that'll cap things off.
And the 20-foot section is called?
We call it the tower grillage.
The grillage.
That's what supports the saddle, which supports the main cable.
And there was a rush the past couple of days to get that done, wasn't there?
Oh yeah, it's been quite a challenge. It's a lot of work to get done to finish it on time.
So would the grillage be part of your domain?
Excuse me?
Was the grillage part of your domain?
Yes. Yeah.
Even though it's not the real tower, but it's the cap for the tower.
Yeah, it's a continuation of the tower structure. So as it's the piece that ties the 4 shafts together. So up until the grillage, they're all individual shafts. Now at the grillage, they've all become one piece, one solid piece.
Are you ready to go back home?
I'd say at this point, yes. I've enjoyed my time here, and I suppose I could stay here indefinitely, but at a certain point, you start seeing the end of the road, and I look forward to going back to the States. The familiarities, being close to family, friends.
One of the things that you and I were talking about off camera is the fact that you have to go home and find a new house, a place to live. How do you go about that?
Well, it's going to be a lot of work. We've got to find a new place to stay, get all of our stuff out of storage, get phones, buy a car, get settled, find schools for the kids, and my wife has to find a job. So there's a lot of work to be done settling back in.
And the bridge is finally up. What will you feel?
Oh, I'd say a sense of pride primarily. I've been working on this bridge for more than 5 years now, and that's a good chunk of your life. And as I mentioned, countless sleepless nights. I'll be pleased and proud to have been a part of it.